Okay, you guys, so I want to give you guys the quick, short synopsis and version of everything I'm going to break down for you guys in this video. Now, Tony Buzbee, who is the opposing attorney against Diddy, did not originally name Jay Z as the male celebrity in the original lawsuit that was filed on October 20th, which accused Diddy and an unknown or anonymous male celebrity of allegedly assaulting a 13-year-old girl at a MTV Music Awards after party in the year 2000. Now, originally, Jay Z was unaware of the case or the allegations against him. Then out of the blue, he said that Tony Buzbee sent him a demand letter in early November requesting mediation for a settlement and warning that his name would be added to the lawsuit if he refused. So Jay Z quickly fired back and declined and countersued Tony Buzbee for alleged extortion on November 16th. And in response, Tony Buzbee countersued Jay Z's lawyer on December 5th. And on December 8th, he then added Jay Z's name to the original October lawsuit, but the identity of the female who is alleging all of these accusations still remains anonymous, and she has not yet been sued for false allegations or defamation of character. And Jay Z personally made a statement on his Roc Nation Instagram page basically saying, "You, Tony Buzbee, have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I look forward to showing you just how different I am," meaning I'm not scared of you. We're gonna go head to head, toe to toe, in and out these courts, okay? Because I'm about to do whatever I gotta do to clear my name of these false allegations. Now, in turn, Tony Buzbee did do a rebuttal, and he took to his social media on Instagram and made a public statement basically denying that he ever requested a penny from Jay Z. He said that in the demand letter that they sent to Jay Z and his attorney that he never requested a penny from him. He said instead that him and his client was only seeking confidential mediation, and that was it. Now, that may be the case. Maybe he did not put a certain amount of money or any inclination or insinuation that they are wanting to do mediation for money. However, if we look at it, civil suits are disputes between private parties, while criminal suits involve alleged violation of criminal law. And the main difference between civil and criminal suits are these. Civil suits resolve conflicts, enforce rights, and compensate victims, okay? So if that victim wins, then they will be compensated with money, right? While criminal suits punish and deter criminal activity. So if you are filing a criminal suit, basically, if that person is found guilty, they just go to jail, not necessarily compensate the victim. And this is why Jay Z specifically said in his statement to Mr. Buzbee, he said, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one." So if you think that I really did all of this, fine, then go ahead and file a criminal complaint and take me to court and prove that I did what you're saying that I did. And then if I am found guilty, let me go rot in jail. But don't file a civil lawsuit where you're trying to be compensated. Now, I totally understand that Jay Z wants to desperately clear his name of something that he says that he did not do. And if he truly did not do this, I can understand why he'll go to great lengths to prove it, especially because he has young children. And in his statement, he even said, "My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down. One of them, Blue Ivy, whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees to malice meant to destroy families and human spirit." So because of this, I can understand why Jay Z wants to go to great lengths to prove his innocence. However, he kind of needs to calm down because he is allegedly going too far while trying to prove his innocence. And if he doesn't calm down, then he could possibly have some other legal troubles. Because Mr. Buzbee publicly took to his social media explaining how Jay Z has been recently trying to harass and bully him, all because of this situation in this case. He said, "Despite a coordinated and aggressive effort that has included harassing my kids, contacting my clients and former clients to encourage them to sue me, contacting my colleagues or former employees asking if I've abused them, showing up at my current employees' homes to harass them, filing frivolous cases against me and my law firm, defaming me with outrageous assertions to anyone who will listen, and having mysterious people follow me and my family, and I'm still that guy. I won't be bullied or intimidated. People will see through this effort to discredit me and my clients, and the truth will be revealed. I also won't allow anyone to scare my clients into silence. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and I am quite certain the sun is coming. Whew, that was a lot. So if this is true, then Jay Z definitely needs to calm down before he has other legal issues, okay, that maybe Mr. Busby will be able to actually prove. Speaking of Mr. Busby proving that Jay Z is allegedly harassing him, he also posted on his social media a picture that one of his clients had sent him, showing him that they are being harassed by people that are showing up to their homes or their place of businesses, basically bullying or threatening them or trying to scare them because of this situation. And it's allegedly people sent by Jay Z and his legal team. He said, investigators from New York have contacted many of our law firm's current and former clients. These investigators aren't very smart. What they didn't anticipate was one of the clients deciding to record the conversation and taking a picture. It's shocking and illegal. Now, there has been reported to be some inconsistencies in the story from the alleged victim. Now, in response to this, the alleged victim said, I have made some mistakes. In recollections of that night, the woman identified as Jane Doe in the lawsuit filed against Jay Z and Diddy told NBC News. The woman said she stands by her allegations overall, and the inconsistencies in her account of the incident alleged to have happened over 24 years ago do not necessarily mean the allegations are false. Okay. One of the biggest inconsistencies in her story is that Jane Doe's father says he does not recall the incident at all. Okay. The alleged victim's father told NBC News that he does not recall picking her up after the alleged attack happened, casting doubt on a key detail in her lawsuit that she has. And according to their address at the time, her father would have driven more than 5 hours from their home to pick her up. But the father said, I feel like I would remember that, and I don't. He said, I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind, right? Okay. The alleged victim's father said that he learned of this alleged assault this week with everybody else. Now, in response and rebuttal to that, Jane Doe claims her father had personal issues back then that led to his lack of memory, okay? And Mr. Tony Busby told NBC News, we agree that he states he doesn't remember, but his daughter explains that he was in no state to remember during that point in time due to personal issues he was having then. We are talking about a time frame more than 20 years ago. And then on top of that, the alleged victim and Tony Busby acknowledged that they did not know the exact location that the alleged incident took place, okay? She said, I didn't know exactly where we were going or even how long it took. Despite in the lawsuit, she said that it seemed like it took about 20 minutes. The alleged victim also added that she had guessed about the length of time that the trip had taken in the lawsuit. Okay, so you're making guesses about something so heinous and serious that could seriously affect another human being's life. Okay. Now, recently today, Jay Z's attorney did have a press conference, and he did invite only major news outlets and major social media and blog outlets. And this is what they're saying that his attorney is saying and rebuttaling to these accusations.
So we sent our very own Lauren LaRosa up to Rock Nation yesterday. She was on the floor. She was there.
Yeah, so when we got there, they went through a lot of the details that we've already talked about from the case.
Who was there? Was Hov there? Who was there?
No, Jay Z was not there. We were speaking to his attorney and presented information by his attorney, Alex Spiro, who's been heading everything. And it was just like other media, like a few other outlets there. So some of the things that they broke down that I thought were really important were, number one, they went back through the timeline again. And remember when we were talking about this the other day, Envy, you were like, there's no houses in Manhattan.
That's what I said. There's no White House.
That was the biggest thing that they leaned in on, because what he was saying is, if you're from New York, you know that there's no houses in Manhattan, but also too, she said that it was a 20-minute drive. So you're trying to figure out from Radio City Music Hall on a day like the VMAs where there probably is traffic, even without traffic, that 20-minute drive now creates a timeline. So what they did was they went through and they actually listed out all of the homes that Puff owned during the time of the year 2000 and any time before that. None of the homes they pointed out or the White House that she described with the U-Circle driveway, they just don't fit the description. Everything else was in Jersey. Also talked a lot about, because, you know, the VMAs are televised. That was the year that Eminem did that, was it the Slim Shady performance where he had all the dress-alikes outside? So it's heavily, there's video, there's photo. in that video, they talk a lot about the fact that she said that she was able to walk up and run into a limousine driver. The way that the streets were blocked off, and you could see it in the photos because they were preparing for that performance, but also just because of the arrivals and drop-off setup, you wouldn't have been able to just, like, it was barricaded off from the people. You wouldn't have been able to just walk up and knock on a limousine, according to what Jay Z's attorney, Alex Spiro, was saying. Now, another thing that was really important was the fact that she said in her testimony in the complaint that she watched the show from a Jumbotron, and then she was picked up later by the limousine, by Diddy's limousine. They went and looked at permits that year for the show. There were no permits submitted for a Jumbotron. There was no Jumbotrons, and even when you watch Eminem's performance, from where she's saying she's picked up, you don't see Jumbotron. So they were just doing a lot of that. But we do have some audio because we were able to ask questions at the end of it. And one of the things we've been talking about in this room is what happens if this is dismissed. Will there be a defamation lawsuit that comes after that? So I asked, well, you want to hear the attorney say it? So I asked the attorney, Alex Spiro, about that, and here's what he said. If this case is dismissed after that, are you guys decided indefinitely to file anything in addition, like a defamation lawsuit?
This issue with a lawyer taking advantage of the situation is going to be dealt with, I can assure you. And I think sort of stay tuned. I think the first thing today was to make sure that everybody understands this is not an account of inconsistencies. I wanted everybody to understand that this never happened. This is completely false. And then we'll move forward from there.
Another thing that I thought was interesting too, and when he said this, I was like, ooh. Someone in the room, well, another one of the reporters asked, Jay Z has been making all these statements, but he has never mentioned Diddy in any of the statements. Diddy is involved in this case. He's named in the same doc. What's going on with that? Does he plan to mention Puff? Let's take a listen.
Will Mr. Carter say anything more specifically about Mr. Combs? He didn't really address him in his statement, but anything since outlets and internet speculation have tried to affiliate the two of them.
I mean, Mr. Carter has nothing to do with Mr. Combs' case or Mr. Combs. They knew each other professionally for a number of years, just like in all professions. People know each other. At the music awards, they support each other. If you go to the NBA All-Star game, they support each other. That's just how professions work. There is no closer association between any of them. That's also a matter of fiction. That's all that there is. He doesn't know anything about the charges or allegations against him. He has nothing to do with that case. And there's nothing more to say.
I thought they were friends, but like you said, I don't know the inside and outside of their lives, but I thought they were friends. But like you said, I take a picture with a lot of people. Do I consider them friends? Do they come to my house? Do they come over for Thanksgiving? Do they know my kids? Do they know my parents?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. We do take pictures a lot, and in this industry, you see the same people over and over again, so you do. So I would assume that they are, but once you break it down like that, maybe they not.
Honestly, I was thinking about it like this. Like, if it is just a perception thing, if Busby even tries to hit back with like, oh, well, look at the photos. Look at what Puff said remember that year at the Grammys, and he talked about, and Jay Z was there, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just perception. The same way, like, you can argue it's just perception.
We also seen Puff say, my brother Jay Z, this is my brother, we're brothers. So when you hear that term, it makes people assume that you guys are closer than just associates.
There's so many photos out there, but the one of you and Jay Z really stands out to me. What was that moment? Do you remember that time?
Yeah, that was at one of my birthday parties, and I was just telling him I appreciated him coming. He was on tour, and he flew in private after one of his shows just to come to the party, and he had to fly back down. I was just telling him how much I appreciate it, how much I value our friendship. People see us as competitors and different icons in the hip-hop game, but that was a moment of just two black brothers telling each other how much they appreciate each other.
And we call that picture a secret society. All we ask is trust.
Wait, hold on, pause. I'm trying to figure out what Kim Porter meant by that, because there's no way you just blurt that out for no reason. Like, anybody have any ideas as to what she may have meant?
Diddy tapped out. He ain't got no money. That's why we're here now with Jay Z, okay? Because he's tapped out. So let me tell you how Sean got brought into this. So what happens is these lawyers will file these lawsuits, right? And hoping to get you to settle. Happened with me. It happens all the time. Diddy is tapped out. All his money is put into his homes. He doesn't have any liquid cash. New York is draining him now financially. There's no more money to get. So he's been trying to negotiate with Jay Z. Because Diddy ain't got no more money to give nobody. He's fighting for his life. So Tony thought he was going to come out here and get all these celebrities that don't want to be associated with these pizza allegations and kiddie pool allegations, that he was just going to come off a good check. Remember, he had 100 victims. Now he only miraculously got 2. Okay? This lawsuit was filed after Tony came out and said that he had about 100 victims, but only 1, maybe 2 came forward because of the credibility You gotta have receipts with it. And so with this one, it's kind of like, I'm just kind of trying to throw something that sticks. So Tony didn't have no more money to get out of Diddy, so he goes to Diddy's best friend and says, I know that you don't want your name associated with this. So he gives him 3 months. 3 months to settle. Jay Z says no, go to the police. He's putting his foot down. He's standing all 10 toes, all 10 dreads down. And so what happens? Tony gets irritated. This is what he's trying to do. Go after Jay Z, go after his insurance. Hopefully he'll pay it. I just want to point out one inconsistency and then we're going to bring it in. So on the document that has the highlighted orange, which was the original complaint file, it says on line 38 that the driver instructed the plaintiff, who was a 13-year-old girl, the driver was instructed the plaintiff to return around 9:30 or 10 p.m., promising to take her to the after party, okay? In the amended complaint, they took out the time. Do you know why the lawyer decided to omit the time and not put a time in the new complaint? Because when you amend something, right, your receipts have to receipt. And he didn't think people were going to do a paper trail. So the VMAs that day that she's talking about specifically was live Thursday, September 7th, 8/7 Central. If the original complaint said 9:30 to be your ass in this parking lot, he gonna pick her up 9:30. But first he had to drop off Combs to the after party. When did award shows end at 9:30? And when did after parties start at around 10:30? So why did he magically take that out in the amended complaint? Because there's a paper trail of what time this award show started. Award shows last 3, 4, 5 hours. Then they gotta mingle. They gotta take pictures. They're there really until midnight. Midnight. If you ain't never been, all you got to do is watch them. You've watched them, the BET Awards, 3 hours, 4 hours. The driver stated that he had to drive Diddy and others to the after party first, but instructed plaintiff to return to his location after the event and that he would pick her up and take her to the after party. Later that evening, the plaintiff returned to the same location and waited. The driver eventually returned and drove her to what he described as an after party. Now, after approximately 20 minutes, the plaintiff arrived at what she believed to be a large white residence with a gated U-shaped driveway. Wait staff circulated through the room carrying trays of drinks and loud music played throughout the venue. After attempting to talk to numerous celebrities, plaintiff accepted a drink from one of the waitresses circulating the crowd. The drink was a reddish yellow mixture that tasted like orange juice, cranberry juice, and something bitter. Okay. After drinking just a portion of that drink, the plaintiff began to worry, to feel woozy and lightheaded, making her need to lie down. Now, looking for a place to rest, the plaintiff walked down what appeared to be a hallway containing several rooms of it. She entered what appeared to be an empty bedroom so she could lie down for a moment. She did not lock the door. The room contained only a large bed with no furniture of any kind, televisions or furnishings. Soon after, that's when Combs entered the room with the defendant, Carter, and a female celebrity. Thank God for Google. This is where Diddy went. This is where the driver took Diddy. Jennifer Lopez and Sean P. Diddy Combs attended the MTV Video Music Awards after party at Twirl in New York City on September 7, 2000. So if this driver took her to a U-shaped house to an after party, did Twirl have a U-shaped driveway in New York City? Who from New York? Hold that thought. Jay Z, same night. Jay-Z was photographed arriving at the MTV Video Music Awards after party at the Lotus nightclub in downtown Manhattan on September 7th, 2000. Remember, the driver said he had to get Combs to the after party, and then he was gonna come back and get her. So he ran Combs to this house that she said she was at, came back, got her, ran her to the house, and now when she gets to the house, she said the after party had a driveway and a living room and people standing all around. But these two celebrities was in two different places. But this particular night, it's just the receipts ain't that.
A 38-year-old mother from Alabama who has filed a lawsuit accusing Sean Diddy Combs and Jay Z of her when she was 13 years old, is speaking out to NBC News for the first time. She asked us not to reveal her identity. The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died. The woman says she spoke to Combs's limo driver who offered her a ride to an after party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver, who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo because, I have about his tattoo that's the Last Supper, because I have a religious background, so it was just something to talk about.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative of the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time. At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter took turns raping her.
Jay Z comes in and rapes me. He at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the.
After the alleged, she says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. Quote, "I felt like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind," he said.
Now, I'm just going to give my last and final thoughts before we exit out the video. Do I think that Jay Z committed this particular crime? No, but just because he didn't commit this one doesn't mean that he hasn't committed some type of similar crime, because there's been whispers for decades that he has messed with young girls like Foxy Brown when he was 27 years old and she was only 16, and like Aaliyah, who was around 19 when he was 29. And like Rihanna, who was only 18 while he was 37. And like even his current wife, Beyonce, because when they first met, he was like 33 and she was only around 16 years old. But they say that they didn't officially start dating until she turned 18. And lastly, Wanda Satterthwaite, who is no longer here because she passed away a couple of years ago, but she's allegedly the mother of Ramir Satterthwaite, who is allegedly Jay-Z's biological first son, because it's alleged that he got Wanda Satterthwaite pregnant at 16 while he was 22 years old, which is probably the reason why Jay-Z is still to this day denying the DNA test that his alleged son Ramir is asking for. So like I said before, do I think that Jay-Z is guilty of this particular crime? No. But it doesn't mean that he's not guilty of others.
You can be a thief, right? But a thief don't steal everything. You can be a taker of, but you can't take everybody's vagina. But it doesn't mean you haven't taken vagina. So when karma comes around, whether you did that offense or not, nobody's going to care, because people are just excited now to just have you being held accountable for something. But this is what karma looks like. When you do so many people so wrong, eventually it's going to come back to bite.